Hey guys, KingFanMan here. I am so excited for this segment called the Patreon Podcast with the King. I had been wanting some way to try to show my Patreons just how much I appreciate them, and I wanted to get to know them a little bit better too. So that's where this idea came from. But you know what? The best surprise is just how much game knowledge my Patreons have. I've been having a blast recording these, and I know you guys are going to love listening and watching too. So sit back and enjoy this week's episode of the Patreon Podcast with the King. Welcome to this week's episode of the Patreon Podcast with the King, and we have a longtime supporter of the KingFanMan channel, James. It is good to have you, James.
It's good to be here.
I've talked to you a lot, not in person like this, but I've talked to you a lot in chats, and it is great to be talking to you one-on-one like this.
Same here.
This is one of the reasons I wanted to do this kind of podcast, was to get to know my Patreons better. So this is exciting for me. So I am so glad that you agreed to do this.
Yeah, same here.
Well, you said you're excited for Fallout 76, so that's what I want to jump in and talk about first. And just tell me, what are you most excited about Fallout 76?
I'm looking to be able to play with my friends. And because it's the first time we really have had any multiplayer in a Bethesda Game Studios game.
So you are excited about the multiplayer aspect?
Yes, I am.
See, I am too. When it was first announced, it made me extremely nervous. I was kind of like some of the others. I didn't like change. You know, I don't like change like some others. It scared me, but now the more I've researched, the more excited I've become.
Yeah, same here. I was skeptical at first because I was wondering how they could pull it off, because the engine, I never thought it could support multiplayer.
Did you actually know what they did to make the engine work? They actually took the Quake engine and merged it with the original BGS engine.
Actually, I think what they did is they took the network code from the Quake engine, not the base Quake engine itself.
Right. Can you imagine how difficult that might have been?
I can totally understand it. It can be painful, really, because there's some engines out there that aren't capable of multiplayer.
Yeah, the studio in Austin has done a lot of work to get this engine multiplayer ready, and to be able to play a Fallout with friends is so exciting to me. I am so excited.
Yeah, same here.
And you were asking me before we started what was one of my favorite things about Fallout 76. Just being able to explore the world. You know, Bethesda Game Studios make such beautiful worlds, and I can't wait to explore West Virginia.
Same here. I mean, it's just what they're doing with how they can see, like, the storms coming in from far away. Has that even been done before? I don't even know.
Exactly. And you were talking about the graphics, how much better the graphics are, like 16 times better than Fallout 4.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if my laptop would be able to handle the game maxed out.
You know, we haven't gotten specifics yet for the game. I can't wait to find out what the specifics are for the game.
I'm guessing it's going to probably require, for maxed out, something like a NVIDIA GTX 980 or even the 1080 or something like that.
It probably will, absolutely. It's going to be much more, because they've talked about how the lighting is improved, how you can see much further in the game than you could in Fallout 4. I mean, everything is going to be drastically improved to what Fallout 4 was.
Yeah, in my opinion, Fallout 4, it looked amazing for its time, but it's starting to starting to get its age in.
Yeah, it's starting to age a little bit. Yeah, I'm with you. I think Fallout 4 gets a little bit too much hate, if you know what I'm saying. I liked Fallout 4. I think Fallout 4 was a good game. So them talking about this game being 4 times the size and 16 times better graphics, it's exciting to me. It's just, like I said, the more I've researched Fallout 76, the more excited I become. If you don't mind, I know we're going to talk more about Fallout 76, but let me ask you a little bit about you, James, because I want to get to know you. First, what do you play on? Do you play on a PS4 or a Xbox?
I have Xbox One, PS4, PC, and a Nintendo 3DS.
Oh, wow. So what do you plan on playing Fallout 76 on?
My PC.
PC. Okay, well, see, we can play together because the main thing, I'm going to play it on PC and Xbox, but PC is the main thing I'm going to play it on.
Yeah, same here. Maybe in the future, maybe a couple years, might get it down on Xbox when it's on sale or something like that.
Well, great. Well, we can team up and play it then. That's great.
Yeah.
Going back to your gaming past, what was your first gaming console?
It was actually, I'm trying to remember, I think it was a Nintendo Game Boy Advance.
Oh, cool. Can you remember what got you into gaming first? What was your first game that you can remember playing?
It was, trying to think, it was either a Spiral game for the Nintendo Game Boy Advance or a Pokemon. It's difficult to remember which one exactly it was.
Oh, yeah. I played a lot of the Spyros with my kids. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, what was, since we talk Bethesda a lot, obviously, on the KingFanMan channel, what was your first Bethesda game?
It was either Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas.
See, Fallout 3 was my first.
Yeah, I think it was Fallout New Vegas.
A question I often ask people, were you overwhelmed when you played your first Bethesda game?
No, I wasn't.
Wow. See, I was overwhelmed. And what I mean by that, Bethesda games are so different than most other games. Of course, unless you've played another open world game, maybe you had played another really open world game, maybe a BioWare game or something. But I had never played anything like a Fallout or an Elder Scrolls. When I first played Fallout 3, I was so taken back. I didn't know what to do. When I left that vault, it was just amazing to me. And I was never the same.
Yeah, same here. I mean, if I had to choose my favorite Bethesda game right now, it would have to be Fallout 4.
Really? That's great.
Even though I only spent about 20 hours, and it was because when it came out, I was it was my first year in college.
Uh-huh.
I didn't have too much time to spend playing it.
Right.
Yeah, I just recently started playing it again, and it's very enjoyable. It is like I was saying before, it's starting to show its age.
Do you like the settlement building?
I do like it, but I think it needs some improvements.
Well, obviously there's going to be a lot of changes coming with the Fallout 76 settlements, but there's going to be a lot of settlement building in Fallout 76. Are you looking forward to the settlement building in Fallout 76?
Yes, I am. I'm looking forward to being able to back up people behind them as well.
In fact, I was working on this morning a couple of videos and video ideas. One of the things that just hit me, I was watching one of the last video trailers that Bethesda put out, and do you remember in the video it shows the Vault Boy's house catching on fire?
I don't think I've seen that video yet.
Well, think about this. You know, they've brought in where your weapons degrade in the new Fallout 76.
Yeah, I know about that, yeah.
Well, I believe also that your houses or your buildings are also going to degrade. You're going to have to be able to repair them, and if you don't, they'll either fall down or catch on fire. So that's going to be a new feature that I believe is going to be in the settlement mode. You're going to have to keep your settlements up, you're going to have to keep them up, and if you don't, they will degrade. So another interesting thing that Bethesda's putting into the settlement. Does any of that stuff in Fallout 76, and maybe this is too strong of a word, but does it scare you? Because there's a lot of survival aspects to Fallout 76.
It doesn't really scare me. I haven't played much survival games. It's always good to test out different type of genres of games to play.
Right. There is definitely, the food spoils, the weapons degrade. Of course, there's mutations. I mean, there's all kind of dangers that are in Fallout 76. And another thing is, when you go in, of course, there's no level settings. In other words, you can't set it hard, medium. Everybody's on the same level. So it's definitely going to be a different experience than, say, Fallout 4 or Fallout 3.
Yeah, I'm used to online games where you can't change the difficulty.
Right. So you have played. I know you turned me on to Star Trek Online. What are some other online games that you like?
I played World of Warcraft for some time. Rift, Defiance 2050, Neverwinter. Just to name a few.
Oh, that's great. So in that Star Trek Online, by the way, that one looks fantastic, and I can't wait to play that some more.
Yes, I've been playing that game almost since launch.
Tell us a little bit about that Star Trek Online game.
Okay, it launched, I believe, in February 2010, and it got released on the Xbox One and PS4, I think in 2016, but they did do some overhaul to the graphics, and they said when they released on the current gen, the Xbox One and PS4, in order to be on the system, it needs to look current gen. It doesn't need to look like previous gen with the graphics.
Do you know when that came out?
It came out in PC in February 2010.
Oh wow! It looks so good for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean they definitely keep the game afloat over the years they added new technology over the years. That's why the game looks so good.
That is another thing that excites me, and I didn't mean to cut you off. Does that excite you about Fallout 76? The thought that they're going to keep the game alive for years to come?
Yeah, that's very excites me. That's what I like about online games. They're like one day it could be a totally new experience than the previous day.
Exactly. There's going to be new things, new lands, new quests. The game may change, as you said. It may be different tomorrow than it was today.
Yeah.
Just building on that, what do you think, and I know this is just pure speculation and pure fun, but what do you think that Bethesda may do in the future to Fallout 76? What are some things that, in your mind, that you think they may bring to Fallout 76?
Maybe a miniature battle royale mode. Maybe not completely a battle royale mode. Maybe it'd be like something like 10v10, 12v12, or something like that.
Yeah, they have talked about a 12-on-12 deathmatch. That's been talked about.
Yeah. The only reason why I think it might be difficult to add a battle royale mode to Fallout 76 is just due to the engine's age.
Right.
Because right now it's unable to really do vehicles, and like Todd Howard said before, it's due to its graphics, rendering, streaming technology. If you go too fast, it's not loaded.
Yeah, it can't keep up.
Yeah, so that's the only reason why it might be them stopping to do a battle royale mode, just because of that technology right there.
This is something that before we get, I want to talk Starfield with you for just a minute, but what some people may not know about you is you are going to college for what? What is your major in college?
At the moment, it's game design, but it could change.
So you are going to college to be a video game designer.
Yeah, but like I said, that could change because it's very difficult.
Well, that is interesting. If it doesn't change, we may be talking right now. We may be listening to the next Todd Howard. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that could very well be.
So I got to be really nice to you, so that maybe one day I will have the inside scoop to Bethesda. So you know quite a bit about the gaming industry. With Starfield coming. And we do know they are not doing a totally new engine.
Yeah.
But they have added a lot to the engine. What in your expertise have they done to the engine to make Starfield possible?
I think they're adding a new graphics technology for the streaming to be able to add vehicles, maybe have like seamless open world going from your spaceship to ground, and with like no loading screens, and maybe each planet could be randomly generated in a race, and you can explore it by foot or vehicles.
So you think there's definitely going to be spaceships and maybe even ground vehicles in Starfield?
Yeah, I think you'd be able to go back and forth. You might be able like drop maybe a buggy that's out of the spaceship that'll be able to land on the planet and act as like a ground vehicle as well.
Oh, well. Now, I know you're a Mass Effect fan, so I'm guessing you're looking forward to Starfield as well.
Yes, I am.
You know, the way Todd Howard talks about Starfield, he talks about it being this epic science fiction. I mean, he talks about it being a groundbreaking game. And and I really think he means it. And we've heard some insiders say about it that it's going to be the next big leap in gaming. What do you think they're talking about?
I think it's going to might be one of the biggest games out on the planet that's pushing those technology in a whole new direction like you never even imagined before. Like with new animations, new graphics, big open worlds, seamless going from ground to space, be probably able to have billions of people on a planet just walking around doing random things.
Oh, that's exciting. That is super exciting. I don't know if are you interested in Cyberpunk at all? Have you seen?
I am very much into Cyberpunk. I've played the previous games, The Witcher 3. I didn't really like The Witcher 2 because it was just way too hard.
Did you watch the Cyberpunk footage that they had about the 40-minute?
Yes, I watched the whole thing. I probably watched it about 10 times.
The one thing that really stood out to me was, and it's kind of strange that this is the one thing that stood out to me, was inside the city is the amount of people that they had seamlessly walking around. It was just amazing to me. And
same here. I mean, I'm just surprised they're able to push that amount of people.
Yeah, and the game still run. And I was sitting there thinking while I was watching it, oh, I wish Bethesda could get to where their cities look like that. And
yeah, same here. I mean, it's CD Projekt Red is always known for its technology in its games. I believe some of the games cause people's graphics cards just to melt.
Well, when you said that about Starfield, though, that's the instant thing that hit my head when you talked about all those people, on the planets. That's immediately what hit my head. Well, maybe Starfield is going to be even a leap beyond Cyberpunk.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Which would be amazing.
That would be amazing. That made me doubting that when I said Starfield is going to be a cross-gen game. I'm now thinking it might be exclusively next-gen.
Yeah, I do too. Which, what are you thinking? 2020, I guess, for a date?
I'm thinking 2021, 2022 for Starfield.
Oh boy, don't say that. Oh, you make my heart hurt.
But that's just me. But you never know. There could be a lot farther than we think. Who knows? It could even come out next year just for current gen, but then maybe a year later for next generation.
Right. Well, we do know that Bethesda is super busy now. They're busier than they've ever been. They've got more studios than they've ever had. They've got more people inside the studios than they've ever had. As me and Big T were talking about, it truly is the golden age of Bethesda. And this is really the time that they really need to make hay with what they've got.
Yes, same here. I mean, this could be the busiest moment in the history for them.
Yeah, it's the make it or break it time for Bethesda, because if Fallout 76 turns out to be a success, and then on the heels of that you have Starfield and then Elder Scrolls 6, if they have a triple game of the year type thing, then they're going to shoot to a stratosphere that even beyond what we can even imagine, which would be excellent. But they could also go the opposite direction. So
yeah, I could see them maybe one year to have games come out on a yearly basis.
Absolutely, with the 4 studios.
Yeah, I mean, what they could do is each year each studio, maybe like 4 years in advance, is assigned a game, and they alternate between each release.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
Here we are as BGS fans have almost gotten used to having 4 years in between releases, if not more. And now maybe every 2 years or even every year getting a game. Wow. Ooh, that would spoil us, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that means we wouldn't be able to finish the game 100% completely.
Yes. Well, you also told me that you're an Elder Scrolls fan.
Yes.
And you're very interested in the Blades that's about to come out.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because it's when I'm looking at it, the same. The iPhone 10 can really do that, because it looks surprisingly well, and that's making me doubt if it will come to the older phones, like Apple is saying, and the App Store 5S and above.
Yeah, I had heard all along it was only going to be the iPhone 10, but then also, Todd Howard said he wanted to bring it to everything he could. So, yeah. But I can tell you from personal experience, as you know, I played it at QuakeCon, and it is gorgeous. If you have not seen it in person, then you have not seen it, because it looks twice as good as Skyrim in person. It is gorgeous.
Yes, one thing that I'm wondering about the Elder Scrolls Blades, because the App Store for the iPhone, I think, has a limit on how big the size of the games can be.
Uh-huh.
I think could be around, last I heard, I think it was like either 3 or 4 gigabytes. That could have changed since then, but you never know.
I wonder if they will add to it once it goes to console.
You know what I'm thinking what they could be doing to maybe to get the size down is have the stuff stream in. Yeah,
that could be. Absolutely.
That's why I think how they're going to be the game to get this game to look so good. They're having a streaming element that streams the game over like the internet from like a main server.
That is a very good point. Absolutely. They are going to put it, as you know, onto consoles, onto the Switch, on VR. They're wanting to bring it to everything. And I'm telling you, once they bring it to the console where you can play it with a controller on the big screen, that's going to be a wonderful game, because you can build your own town. I mean, it's not going to be just a little mobile game. It's going to be a great game.
It could even win like the game app of the year or something like that.
Absolutely. And it should be said that it's obvious why they did this. We can go back and talk about Fallout Shelter. Fallout Shelter made $91 million.
I can admit, I don't think I spent any money in Fallout Shelter, but I have definitely played it. It wasn't really my cup of tea. but it was a good game for what it was. But I think this Blade is even going to be better than Fallout Shelter.
Oh, absolutely. And I've played a lot of Fallout Shelter, and I'm like you. I haven't spent a dime on it, but yet it's made $91 million. They have made more money on Fallout Shelter than any other game they've ever made.
Yeah, that's why they're probably going to do Blades and probably a whole lot of other mobile titles. Maybe some in a whole new franchises just for mobile devices.
You can guarantee they're always going to have a new mobile game going now. Absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe they'll try to have one come out every year or something like that.
I've heard they're working on a new Fallout Shelter as well. So.
Yeah, who knows?
If you don't mind me asking, I like to ask this.
Okay.
What are your hobbies outside of video games?
I am I like music. I like watching a lot of TV, and occasionally go to the movie theaters.
What kind of music do you like?
I like anything. I like anything from rock to pop to classical to opera. All different types I listen to.
All right. You like Elvis Presley, right?
I listen to some of his songs, but yeah. Absolutely.
You got to like Elvis. And I asked this one, I asked this to everybody, so I do it very humbly. What caused you to like the KingFanMan channel enough to become a supporter on Patreon?
Ironically, I just discovered it on random. I think it just popped up in my feed or something like that.
And what made you like it enough to want to become a supporter?
I just liked what you were doing, and I thought that you're doing a very good job.
Well, thank you, James. You have been a supporter since way back, and I appreciate your support more than you know.
Yeah.
People like you is what keeps me going, and
yes.
And that's exactly why I started this podcast, is for people like you. We've got about 3 more minutes. Is there anything major you want to talk about before we stop the podcast?
Did you hear? I think I read this online that they're releasing a Fallout themed rum, I believe.
A Fallout themed what?
Rum, type of alcohol.
No, you're kidding me.
Yeah, I have to find it. I can send you the link. I don't know where you can get it from, but I heard that they're actually releasing some type of Fallout-themed alcohol.
Oh, my word. No, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I can actually look it up right now. Yeah.
That's incredible. Well, I guess, anything with Fallout on it would sell, so it makes sense. Absolutely. Well, I tell you, James, I cannot wait to roam West Virginia with you, and we're less than a month. So, did you pre-order the game? Are you going to be in the beta?
I already pre-ordered it. I pre-ordered it, I believe, in July.
Oh, good deal. Well, we will be in the beta together then, so I cannot wait. Well,
yes.
Thank you so much for being on the Patreon podcast with the King. It has been wonderful getting to know you a little bit better, and I thank you so much, James.
Okay.
Well, it has been great, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this week's episode of the Patreon podcast with the King. And for James, I am the KingFanMan, and we will see you guys next time.
Okay, bye.